All right, guys. I've rounded my partition. Got that flawless. Got some silicone down in there, down along that bead. There was that high spot there. So I gave that a little bit of build and glue, basically, adhesion. It won't stop it from doing what it needs to do, by moving, flexing, because it itself is elastomeric and I didn't use much. However, the good news is we are lined up perfectly from seam to seam on a 10-foot stretch. And I mean by the 32nd of an inch. That laser is touching the left side of this board all the way up across the threshold and right at where the laser starts. So I'll give you a view from this side. This was don't mind my tools and my mess. Just temporary living for right now. This is not how we normally live. However, try to beam my lights back here. See, the laser isn't coming here because it's hitting the threshold. That's like ½ inch, something like that. 5/8, maybe 3/4. But it's all jammed out, so those sheathings are actually touching each other underneath the threshold, which is good. That was springboarding because it was put in way too tight. So I took my multi-tool, went behind that jam and sliced into it. And now it's actually bringing the spring down quite a bit. Plus, filling it with that flooring makes it way better. There's barely any spring at all. I might flex it a little and put a little silicone in the middle. Put a weight there for a day or two. Just let it cure up. So now that we're set, now that we're perfectly in line, now I can put my jam pieces in. I left those so that I could build a platform, and where this is a floating floor, you don't even have to put any rosin paper or nothing down. This is like the best, quickest stuff. It snaps together. It has to be perfectly seamlessly snapped together. But this is a polyurethane membrane on the bottom. There's a little bit of foam in between it. Well, the membrane itself is pretty foamy. And then we've got some more foamy, rigid chipboard style stuff that snaps all together. And then we've got the vinyl top. And it actually has texture like ridge, like a wood, piece of wood. So, yeah. By the way, I didn't lose that finger cutting it off with a saw. I lost it to frostbite working in New England weather back 10 years ago. One of the worst storms I've ever worked in. As a matter of fact, the only other storm I worked in that was as bad or worse than that was the 98 ice storm. Some of you guys might not know this, but back in 1998, pretty well all of the United States, but I know for a fact, New England got hit hard with ice. And it just kept raining and then freezing, raining and then freezing. And it would snow and then it would rain. And it just kept compiling up and making these huge batches of ice. It was breaking power lines, causing accidents, black ice everywhere, regular ice everywhere. Snowplows couldn't keep up with the salt because it would rain and then freeze every single day. And the rain was so torrential that it would wash all the salt away. So by the next morning, you had a fresh, brand new black ice spot over that knoll right on the hill that you just needed to be super careful about. Everyone was getting snow tires. We lived off of a Caterpillar generator that the farm lended us, because we worked as a farmhand for place in Maine. And it was a dairy farm. So they brought us up a generator so that we could use that for, you know, servicing the house while the storm lasted. I think it was 17 days that basically all of New England went without power. Some went without power for longer. Some went without power for a little less time. But it was a nationwide crisis, or at least a region-wide crisis. However, I'll get to the story with my finger later. Nothing crazy, but I lost 1/3 of a digit over time. Just kept working through it. Didn't think it was a problem. I knew it was pain, but, you know, and eventually frostbite set in, and there it went. However, this floor is very, very close. Now I'm going, see, I had to make all of this nice and pretty so that there was no gaps. You don't want any air gaps. One, dirt will climb in there and then get underneath. That's a big one. Another one, which means I'm actually gonna put quarter around there. Get it nice and tight. I'll seal it right in there with caulking so no dust can get in there. Because once the dust gets under this board, there you go. You've got a problem. Or I will have a problem. That looks janky as hell. By the way, this is how I bought the house. I do not endorse the last carpenters. Some of their work was all right, but yeah, I'm probably just gonna cut that all the way across and make it look better, I guess. Maybe not, I don't know. But I'm gonna take this mop board out. All the rest is out. And it'll make these straight runs super easy. I got that lined up. I got it notched around the door, got it notched around the partition, got it underneath this old doorway, which I would like to just drywall over this whole wall, but that's for another day. I had all this to do. I ran electricity, got flooring. I had to drop, mud, skim coat all over the place. I still have a bunch of trim to do, which that will be tomorrow. And before I go to bed, I'm going to finish this floor.